Hello and welcome to MarineAndReef.com videos. Today we're going to show you guys the new Fluval AC series of power filters. Now these power filters are replacing the venerable long-lasting AquaClear filters. Now if you're new to the hobby or you've been under a rock, you may not realize how much of a mainstay these filters have been. They've been around as long as I've been in the hobby, which is over 15 years now. So for many people, these have been a trusted source of good filtration for their aquariums. There was a lot of things about them that people really liked. And in fact, when we told people they're going away, we've had a big run on them with everybody trying to scoop them up. But there is a new version of them, and that is the Fluval AC filters. So there's a few things to note before we open up these two filters and compare to show you guys what's changed with the new series versus the old ones. One thing we wanted to mention is that this new series by Fluval is Hagen. Hagen and Fluval are the same thing. Right now it seems like the Fluval brand is the more popular brand. So this is still the same manufacturer and it's just their new version of the filter. Before we actually get into the filters, there's a few things to note as we look at the boxes. Today we're going to compare the size 50 of the AquaClear and the size 50 of the new AC Fluval filters. The first thing to note is that the media is interchangeable. So if you have an old AquaClear filter and you're wondering what you're going to do for media, you can purchase the correct size of AC series Fluval media, and it is interchangeable, and it says it's interchangeable on the packaging. The other thing is that the sizes pretty much directly correlate. So just like there was an AquaClear 20, 50, 70, and 110, you have those same sizes in the Fluval, except we do see a size 30 instead of a size 20. And the other thing is if you look at comparable sizes like these two size 50s, they have the same flow rate. So they take the same media, they have the same flow rate, and overall they're very comparable. One other thing to note on the packaging of both is if you just look at the stickers, you'll see that the AquaClear has a 2-year warranty, whereas the new AC series filters have a 3-year plus 2 if you register it. So all things considered, I would say that's pretty good. So we're looking at these two, we're seeing just a few changes, everything's very similar, but we do get a longer warranty with this one, and all of the performance specs seem to be pretty much the same as far as the tank rating. Both are 20 to 50 gallons, both use the same media, both have the same flow rate. So let's open both up, put them on our test tank, and see what we notice is different between them. So we're going to first start by opening the tried and true Hagen AquaClear 50. Got to the filter itself. So as we're looking at this older filter, I just thought I'd point out some of the features that a lot of people like on it. One feature that a lot of people like about these AquaClears is the fact that the motor sits on the outside of the tank. All things considered, most people would rather look at less stuff inside the tank. So having the motor on the outside is going to allow you to have an overall slimmer profile installation inside your aquarium. You do get a couple of intake tubes, and those will allow you to extend the intake down towards the bottom, which is where fish poop and other debris tends to settle. One of the biggest selling points of these filters to the enthusiast side of the hobby is that they don't take a filter cartridge. So you can see here there's a little basket, and this basket allows you to stack the Fluval or Hagen media inside. But you can also customize it, put pretty much whatever you want. And to a lot of enthusiasts, that's a big selling point because they'd rather get media that they can rinse out and reuse, or there's a different brand of media that they really like, rather than simply using one proprietary filter cartridge that a lot of other canister filters like. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this on our test tank. You can see how it rocked back. It's because there's a little adjustment that allows us to adjust based on the thickness of the rim. It's called the leveling device. That pretty much got it pretty level. And as far as media goes, we're going to get a sponge that goes at the bottom of this basket. followed by some filter carbon. We're gonna rinse this off camera before we put it in. And then the last stage is the biomedia, some ceramic biomedia, and there is an included media bag to stop that media from being all loose whenever you pull that basket out. So that's what's included. One other feature that we'll point out that's pretty popular with these AquaClears is that there is a flow adjustment. So by moving the intake tube, you're essentially partially obstructing it when you move it over. You can slow down the flow in. And that's primarily popular with people with small fish or shrimp or baby fish who are worried about those fish getting sucked up. You are able to dial it down. When it comes to just getting maximum filtration power, we all pretty much want the flow to be full power. But a lot of people did like the ability to dial it down if they had some delicate animals that might get sucked up. So before we rinse these guys and put them in, let's show you guys what comes in the new Fluval AC series filter. Gone ahead and opened up our old school AquaClear filter. We're gonna now do the Fluval and show you guys what's in the Fluval AC series that's replacing it, so we can see how it compares to the tried and true. You may even notice it says AquaClear on the media itself. Now the actual filter looks overall very similar. There is a different style lid that's included. Slightly different shape to the filter itself. And then the basket is different. That's one of the first things that I notice. So with this filter, it looks like the basket orients the media front to back rather than up and down. Whether that's good or bad is probably up to you. The thing I will say that I like about it is it's always hardest to get to the media at the very bottom of that basket. But because two of the medias are up top, it'll be much easier for you to pick one or the other out. If one is sitting here and one is sitting here, it'd be much easier to pick one or the other out versus if they're totally stacked on top of each other. Intake looks pretty similar, and I am seeing that this does have the plus minus flow adjustment just like the old AquaClear did. We get an extension tube. So with this AquaClear, we got the two tubes. You could use one as the extension tube. This looks a little bit more well put together with using a dedicated extension tube versus just kind of doubling up on the intakes. Go ahead and drop it on. We're getting a leveling adjustment just like the traditional AquaClears. If I can find where it mounts. There it is. It's nice and level. Then we'll look at the media itself. First thing is inside the filter, there's a small sponge. This is made to go on the inlet of the filter, and if slowing down the flow won't protect small fish and shrimp from getting sucked in, this definitely will. And in fact, I know for many people who keep shrimp and small fish, this might be a selling point on its own, that the filter does include a screen to screen out small animals from getting sucked into the filter. So if you keep those animals, I think this is definitely a much better choice. For the media inside, we get a sponge. Now this is specifically sold as compatible with the AquaClear. It's blue. It does look like the new blue sponge is a little bit finer. So that's kind of a two-edged sword. It means that it's going to catch more particles, which is good, but it also probably means it's going to plug up faster, so you got to clean it out. With most of these filters, it's a good idea to clean it out at least a couple times a month. Just take the sponge and kind of squeeze it and wring it out under the sink. So let's go ahead and put that sponge in the bottom. then we get basically the same media. We're getting a bag of carbon to help our water stay clear. And we're also getting some biomedia. Now, conveniently, this is pre-bagged, which I will say is an upgrade over the loose media they expect you to bag yourself. And it looks pretty much exactly the same as the AquaClear media. And again, the other difference we've already pointed out, but just to touch on, you can see in the image that they really want you to orient your biological media and chemical media front to back rather than one on top of the other, which I do think will make it easier to service in the end. Now, we're going to go ahead and get the media rinsed for both of these filters, and then we're going to get them started running with water. An important thing to note with this style of filter is this style of filter with the pump outside does require manual priming. That means if I took these filters and plugged them in now, it wouldn't do anything. They need to first have the outside baskets filled with water. Once this is filled with water, they should turn on, but they won't fill themselves with water on their own. So once we get these filters running, we'll show them side by side and give a comparison about what they look like when they're running, how loud they are, how much flow they're producing, and show you guys what that's like. All right, so we've got both filters running side by side, the old AquaClear 50 and the new AC 50. And you can see they're still very, very similar. A couple things to note now that they're running that kind of make themselves apparent is that the flow adjustment on this AquaClear can be accessed through the lid, while as the new one cannot. So I can still adjust it, but I have to open the lid in order to adjust the flow down. I actually like this quite a bit because I've had many times where I was doing something on the tank and bumped this and I didn't mean to adjust it. So I kind of like that this is a little bit more of a conscious decision if you're going to adjust the flow up and down on the AC series filter. One thing we thought we'd point out is just the noise comparing the two, and I don't notice any difference between them. Generally with these filters, what's going to make the majority of the noise is the water falling. So the higher up you have the water in the tank, the less water falling noise you're going to have, and that's going to eliminate the majority of the noise. The pumps themselves are very, very quiet. I really don't hear much, if any, pump noise from these filters. I will note that the pumps are different. So I don't know exactly what's changed, but just visually you can tell they're a totally different shape. The old AquaClear has a rounded edge to the pump, whereas the new Fluval says Fluval and it's very boxy. So my guess is that's probably what changed their warranty, is that going with a new pump, they believe it's probably more durable than the old pump, and that's probably what allowed them to extend it out a bit longer. Another note here is that this lid has holes in it. I didn't realize that right away. What that's likely trying to address is that with the old style AquaClear lid, these would get a lot of condensation below them, and ultimately it'd be like a bunch of little hot water spots, and it'd start to look pretty ugly over time. You know, you could take the lid off and then soak it in vinegar or citric acid to remove those water spots, but you're probably going to get a lot less of them with that ventilation built into the lid, so that not as much condensation builds up inside of the filter itself. You can see that with the AquaClear, I had to bag up the media myself. It does work just fine, but I really did appreciate the fact that the new media is pre-bagged, and I just rinsed it and dropped it in. You can all see more of what I'm talking about, where if I wanted to change the carbon per se in this AquaClear, I'd have to first pull out the whole tray, then take off the biomedia to get that carbon, whereas I can just simply pull the carbon out right now, even with it running. So I find that much easier to get into, just a little bit easier to service than the old style filter itself. Now we're not using that shrimp in tank, but it's nice that there is that foam screen to screen off the new style filter, and I consider that a definite upgrade. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what I would tell people is if you have an AquaClear 50, the classic style that you've been running for a long time, I wouldn't throw it away. I'd keep running it. They still work just as well as they have. There's some upgrades in the new style filter, but they're not that big of an upgrade. But as soon as my pump burnt out or my impeller burnt out on my AquaClear 50, I would probably just jump to the new filter. I think there's enough things that make it better. Going with the new filter of any type would just look better, but knowing I'm gonna have less of the condensation, I'm gonna get that screen intake, I'm gonna have a little bit easier time pulling out the media and replacing it, I'm gonna have a longer warranty. That would all steer me in that direction of the new filter. And it's available in all the same sizes as the old one, all the way up to 110 gallons rated. This really is a great filter for a huge variety of aquariums where you're looking for a hang-on option. If you like this comparison video, like and subscribe for more videos. We'll do new product spotlights like this. We'll highlight some of the office tanks and have a whole lot more content for you guys. Thank you.